Thank you, Prof. And also you have mentioned that problem is solved at 5 levels. Can you help us with those 5 levels? Another question to you, Prof.
Every problem is solved at many levels, a minimum of which is 5. So let me give you, let me just take a silly example, but it will help you to understand. In my country, although now a lot of the roads are being repaired, but there have been lots of potholes on the roads. Okay, so if you drive on roads with potholes every day, the first level at which you encounter the problem is an event level, because you have to avoid the potholes or deal with them somehow. So you drive around them, or you find a way of ensuring that when your tire bursts because you hit pothole, well, you change from low profile to high profile tires. So that's at event level, and the solution at event level. At the next level is the trend level. The trend is that if you want to actually survive and driving in potholed roads, here's what you do. You avoid this section. You go through the other section, which is not so bad. Then you connect. That's at a trend level. The third level is at a structure systems level. What causes this situation that we have potholes on so many roads? Oh, it's the local government system that has collapsed. Why has it collapsed? It's because the cities, the towns are not economically viable. They are full of people who are not able to pay rates, and they themselves, even when they collect rates, they're not able to pay for basic services. So the roads are going to be full of potholes. So at systems and structure level, it's a completely different problem, and the solution is different. And why did we end up with cities which are not even able to have citizens and ratepayers who can afford to have an economically viable city? Well, it's because when the cities were constructed by the colonials, they were not thinking of cities which will have millions of people in the middle class. It was intended for a few thousand white people who will be in the middle class, and lots of slaves and servants working for them on the farms and in the cities. So the economies never grew. They won't grow. Even the answer to a middle income trap is well beyond just being a good government and not having corruption and good governance. It has to structurally change. So at a fourth level, what created the kind of cities system we have? The mental model was a colonial mental model, which says it's more important to have infrastructure that takes things out of the continent. So you got good roads from Harare to Durban and Maputo, but it takes you forever just to get to Dotito or to Buhera. The infrastructure is not made to connect the economy within. It is intended to connect the economy out and in. So at the highest level, what was the vision in your mind, in the people's minds who created the society we have, is what then created the mental model. And I'm going backwards now. So the highest level was the vision in how you create that society, which creates the mental model, which creates the systems and structures, which create then your experience of life and how you have to live from event to event. And then you see trends, and trends are there for you to just cope with the situation and not really strategically solve it. You cannot solve a problem at a lower level than it was created. So you have to know at the level at which the problem is occurring, you go one level up, then you come up with solutions. So I just given you the 5. I usually take a whole day to give you better examples. I just gave you this one quickly so that you do understand that a solution at one level does not necessarily work at another level. You have to analyze. You have to learn to analyze the problem at all the 5 levels so that you go to the highest level to solve it. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Prof. You know, when you were talking about infrastructure that has not been created to connect the economy within, that reminds me of failing to access Domboshava, which is 40 kilometers of our
There you go. And yet you can fly to Johannesburg in 1.5 hours.
Yes. Thank you so much, Prof. There's also another question. Allow me to share 2 more questions. The first question says, how can African countries balance the need of foreign investment with the need to maintain sovereignty and protect local industries and workers?
Instead of answering you directly, I'll tell you a quick story. 1994, I went to China. China was not even on the map yet. It was growing fast. But remember, they started growing fast in 1980. Yes. But so 1994, I go there, I go to a conference, and this professor is presenting. And I then discover in his presentation, he's saying China in 1994 then had the highest domestic savings in the world. At the same time, they had the highest foreign direct investment in the world. So then I raised my arm afterwards and asked it, so if you have the highest domestic savings in the world, why do you need foreign direct investment? Then the professor said, oh, you see, that's where you Africans are lost. We don't need foreign direct investment for the cash. We got three things we're looking for in foreign direct investment, not cash. The first thing we're looking for is technology. So if you're coming to manufacture in China and you are manufacturing, you want to assemble BMW or you want to make Nikes, we want the latest technology. Don't give us a washed up technology from Frankfurt. We want the best, otherwise we won't allow you to invest in our country. Number two, show us your markets. If you're manufacturing Nikes, where are you selling those Nikes? Show us the whole market the world over, because we want to share that market with you, not just to be a manufacturer. You see? Thirdly, we want the best jobs. Any job that Chinese can do won't allow you to bring your people to work here. So the Chinese, even for the top jobs, they would give them a deadline. By such and such a year, Chinese should be running that business. Those are the three things the Chinese would demand when they were as poor as us. They would demand foreign direct investment to fulfill those three requirements. Then, only then, will they take your cash. In Africa, is the opposite. We want foreign direct investment. All we are looking for is the cash. We don't ask about whether the technology is the latest, is the best for us, is it the most relevant. We don't ask about the markets out there in the world where they're supplying our own goods and services we are going to produce here. We want cash. We chew the cash. In 6 months, it's finished. Then we're looking for the next thing that we're going to be selling. So I told you that story so you understand why African governments must unite and ensure that you don't accept foreign direct investment until it is a means for you to accelerate your own manufacturing sector and grow. Thank you.